I'm Jay Horton. I make movies that make money. This is how. On this channel, I put out 2 new videos a week on independent filmmaking, mostly about the business, marketing, and distribution side of things. But I have been starting to do more brass tacks filmmaking stuff as well. In a nutshell, this channel is all about making actual money with low-budget independent films. And by low budget, I'm talking very low budget indie stuff here. If your goal is to make big, slick, studio level stuff, this channel is probably not for you. I am not going to tell you how to pitch to Netflix or Hulu, or how to get your movie into Sundance, because quite honestly, I don't know much about that stuff. I've never had a film in Sundance or any festival even close to that size. And the last time I had a movie on Netflix and Hulu was back in like 2016. My shit is way more about making down and dirty DIY or slightly bigger movies and earning some money with them. And we're not talking like you money here either. I am not a rich man. I make my living from these movies, but it's a relatively modest living. That said, the business and especially marketing stuff that I talk about on here does often apply to bigger movies, but not always. So why should you listen to me? Well, maybe you shouldn't. Anyone claiming to know all the ins and outs of indie film distribution and marketing is either full of it or extremely naive. It is a very complicated, nuanced, and non-binary thing that you could study for your entire lifetime and still not have a full grasp of. It's also an ever-changing thing. But there are those out there, like me, with a lot of experience that have dozens of movies in the market. I have around 50 films in my library right now that I own the rights to and are earning me money. I know how much these little tiny movies can actually make and how they make it. And I believe that I can share these things and help others who want to achieve similar goals. That is what this channel is for. And I also want to say that this kind of life, it is not for everyone. Now, I don't work anything like this anymore, but at the start, I had to put in a lot of man hours. We're talking like 80 plus hours a week, and still while doing at least part-time work for others in and outside of the industry. Whereas today, I rarely work more than 8 hours, unless I'm actually on a set. And I fold into that extra time to educate myself on new marketing methods, new distribution avenues, new filmmaking techniques and gear. But it took me many years to get to this place. I am not some like wannabe influencer regurgitating what I heard somewhere else, spouting unsubstantiated opinions. I am actively doing it. I am doing the thing. I walk the walk. One thing that I find extremely funny is there are so many people out there that are talking and teaching others about filmmaking and the filmmaking business, and they're very successful at it, but they really haven't made very many movies. Take a look at the top people in the teaching filmmaking and the business of its space and look at their IMDb's. How many movies, like feature films, have they actually made? And I'm not talking about like just worked on them, like, as an editor or a line producer or something, but actually like produced and directed them, like made the movies. Most of them, not many. Whereas me, I've produced over 60 feature films as of the filming of this video, and every single one of them is out there in the market and earning money. Now, they're not all winners. I've lost money on movies. I've lost money for others on movies. But by and large, more of mine have been successful than have failed. And I have made a lot of them. I think this puts me in a unique position to share what I've learned and to help other filmmakers, which is what I aim to do. This year alone, I've completed half a dozen documentary features, and I'm putting the finishing touches on Craving, a horror feature that I just shot, which is budgeted around $100,000. Good portion of that was raised through crowdfunding, and I've done a bunch of videos on that you can check out here. I've made horror films, drama thrillers, family stuff, religious movies, and over the last 3 years, a crapload of documentaries. That's a scientific term. And all of these movies are what would be considered low or micro budget. I've made them for as low as $1,000 or less and up to $250,000. but predominantly I've worked around the $10,000 to $50,000 range. And it's not just that I've made so many movies, I'm actually earning my living from them. 90% of the money that I bring in is strictly from the exhibition of my films. I don't do freelance work for others, I just work on my stuff. I did direct a documentary last year for another producer, but that's an outlier. It took me nearly a decade of struggling as a starving artist before I really figured out what worked for me. My hope is that by listening to my ramblings here, others can do it in less time. Now, one quick disclaimer. Every filmmaker's journey is different. Just because something has or hasn't worked for me doesn't mean that it will or won't for you. You seriously need to take in everything with some skepticism. You could potentially follow every piece of advice that I lay out on this channel and still fail. Or conversely, you could follow just one tip and that might be the thing that pushes your career forward. You need to be the judge of what to and what not to listen to. I'm just here to relay my experiences and knowledge the best I can. It's up to you to execute or ignore it. If this is something you're into, subscribe. I've made over 200 videos already and put out new ones every week. I'm putting out more and more interviews these days as well, so dig in at your own pace. But whatever you do, keep making movies.